All right, let's get started. What do you think of, what do you think of first when I say the word animal? Dogs? Tiger? The food we eat perhaps? Somebody inferior to us, somebody inconsiderate, somebody aggressive? Or Ranbir Kapoor and his ruthless and toxic version in his recent movie called Animal. What about animal welfare? Shelter? People who have pets? People who feed animals? Great. So today, I'm Alokparna Sengupta. I'm from Humane Society International, India. And I'm going to talk about animal welfare and animal rights and hope to expand your horizon and add to your understanding. So what is animal welfare? Now, often animal welfare and animal rights are used interchangeably, but there's quite a bit of a difference. There is an overlap, but there is a difference, and the difference is in its approach. Animal welfare is the quality of life of an animal and how an animal is coping with its environment. It is usually to talk about what we as human beings do to an animal to take care of them and how they survive under our care. There are various ways to measure animal welfare. Two of them are the 5 freedoms of animals and 5 domains. Now, what is 5 freedoms? In the year 1965, in a response to a book called Animal Machines, the UK government asked Professor Bramble to find out how is animal welfare impacted in factory farms, in farms, livestock farms. And Professor Bramble then came up with these list of 5 freedoms, which show that, okay, if you have this, then your animal welfare is there, the welfare of an animal exists. Freedom from thirst, hunger, and malnutrition. Freedom from discomfort, exposure, freedom from pain, injury, and disease, freedom from fear and distress, freedom to express normal behavior, their natural behavior. Then came 1994, and this is the 5 freedom of animals is widely accepted. Then came 1994, and Professor Mellon and Professor Reed then came up with something called the 5 domains of animal welfare. It is very similar to the 5 freedoms. They talk about nutrition, health, environment, behavior, but what they have added is the mental state. It explores the mental state a little more deeply. Through the 5 domains list, we come to know that with every physical action or expression, there is a mental or a subjective, with exposure, there is a mental effect. So what does that reinforce? That mental welfare is as important as physical welfare. And now more and more we know this about ourselves as human beings, with mental health being given importance, thankfully. But now we know it about animals too, that they too are affected physically and mentally and emotionally. Now, animal welfare then can be the success or failure of animal welfare now can be measured through 5 freedoms or your 5 domains. And the good thing about 5 domains is just merely surviving and existing for an animal is not enough. Just by removing or resolving a negative experience is not enough. You have to give an animal a positive experience. Anticipations, satiety after a good meal, and that is what is important. That is what the 5 domains framework has brought into the lives of animals, saying just existing is not enough. Having a good life is important. Animal rights, confusing topic. We always say animal rights, you're an animal rights activist, animal welfare, let's take the street dogs off the street, and that's animal rights. Animal rights means it's based on the principle that every animal has an inherent worth, moral worth which is independent of the utility that animals provide to human beings. And because of that inherent worth, they must not be subjected to cruelty, torture, or killing, and they should not be killed except for the fact that right of defense. Now, there are a lot of considerations, thoughts, and discussions to and for and against animal rights, because people think animal rights means human rights, means fundamental rights. But not in the way of human rights like our right to have an employment. No, that is silly for an animal. Where should an animal have a right of employment? But do they have a right of life, right to life, right to express natural behavior, right to have a life with liberty? Those are the ones that is being now negotiated, researched, talked about. And honestly, this forum is too little over time. It's already 11. I already have to finish this in 11 minutes. So I can go on and on, or at a different, perhaps, research topic session. But right now, I'm very biased, so I must refrain from talking about animal rights and what I feel about animal rights. But as organizations and as animal advocates, what our aim is the same. Animals must not suffer. Now, my story. Like many I know in the animal movement, I used to see animal welfare or animals in a vacuum. Animal is suffering, only that animal is suffering, and humans are subjecting that animal to suffering. And that might be true for many cases. But there is a chain. An animal is suffering, somebody else is also suffering. Somebody else is suffering, the animal may also suffer. So I want to talk to you about this incident that happened to me around 16, 17 years back, without telling you my age. I was very, very depressed, I'll not say depressed, I was very sad. I was in a job I did not like. I wanted to do something for animals. I wanted to work professionally, but I didn't see a way. And I saw that people didn't care about animals the way I wanted. I cared about animals, I wanted them to care about animals. And so I was angry with myself for being so helpless. I was angry with everybody else, because obviously it's always somebody else's fault, right? Never ours. So I was going to this job, 8 o'clock in the morning, high-tech city, in my cab, and I see a huge buffalo lying dead in the middle of the road. Strange, right? But huge buffalo, dogs were gnawing at its tail, and they were trying to get the tail apart, and I was like, oh my God, what should I do? Let me go to office. By evening, if the animal is not there, I'll call the municipality. By evening, I came out, saw, animal is not there, great. Next week, I saw a dead dog lying in front of. Similarly, I don't know, that was a very accident-prone place. The dead dog lying in front of, on the same road. And just as my cab was going, there was another car which just ran over the dead dog. And I got livid. I was like, how dare you? How can you not think about this? Yeah. And then I was like, okay, we must stop. Officers here, so okay, what should I do? I need to do something. So I picked up whatever I could, which was newspapers. I went in the middle of the road, asked my colleague to come, guard so that I don't get hit by something else. Picked up the dog, put it on the side, called the municipality immediately. But do you see my own difference? Me, who very righteously was angry with the world for not being caring enough. Do you see the difference in my behavior towards a buffalo and towards a dog? With a person who has now over 15 years of experience in animal protection, that is what I want to change. I want the Alokparna Sengupta 16 years back to change to that difference in compassion, that difference in anger. That's something that I want to change. And so I come with you to tell you that animal welfare is not to be seen in vacuum. Animal welfare, easiest part, Cruelty to animals we see at home, we see towards pets, at home in the sense to dogs, to pet dogs, to street dogs. Now, enough research has shown that there is a link between animal cruelty and human violence, where in a home where there's domestic abuse, in a home where there's child abuse, there's bound to be animal abuse. In a home there is animal abuse, there is bound to be some other sort of abuse. The world's most dangerous and infamous serial killers, serial murderers, rapists, their first victims have always been animals. And this is something that India as a country we've ignored. But in many counties in the US, they now have registries of people who have been convicted of animal abuse. The FBI, the Federal Bureau of Investigation, in 2016 started maintaining a record of such animal abusers, so that they could prevent it from going towards another victim. So all I want to say is that when there is an animal abuse, there will be, humans are not safe for much longer. When there is human abuse, I can guarantee you that an animal has been abused somewhere or the other. These are just some of the statistics that have been found through research. But this is easier to accept, right? Dogs being abused, families, domestic violence. Yes, we should keep them safe. But what about, and this is something that happened in Hyderabad a few years ago. But what about those animals who are farmed for food, who are used for food? Why is our reaction to those animals so different? And why is our reaction to those people who work with such animals so different? A hen, so this is your typical egg-laying hen facility, where almost 100% of our eggs come from in India. Male chicks are ground up, crushed, drowned, because they are of no use to the industry. The hen, as a chick, the photos it's here, I'm so sorry. Their beaks are clipped with a hot iron rod, because with pecking and with 24/7 being caged, they will peck at each other. So to be of less inconvenience to the industry, their beaks are cut off. And they live in such filth. Do you know who else lives in filth? And what kind of filth? Humans, the people who manage these farms. Day in, day out. So these animals are living there for 1.5 years. But the families, the managers of these farms, they are barefoot without any protective gears. Their children live in these farms. They wade through feces, 2 to 3 feet deep feces every single day to collect eggs, and with ammonia and other toxic gases surrounding them. This is what they do for our very famous, especially when I was young, a very famous advertisement which asked us to eat eggs every single day. But this is what the cost of our eggs are. And who are these people who are in these farms? Not you and me. It's mostly from those marginalized communities. If we are able to crack this and say, hey, make these farms conditions better, I can guarantee you, with animal welfare, the conditions of the people working there can be made better. We have to make the industry and government accountable for better conditions, not only for animals but for humans. Where animals are suffering, humans are bound to suffer. But you will say, what are you guys doing for farm animals? You're coming and telling us to change our diet and blah, blah, blah. What are you guys doing as NGOs? The problem is, as NGOs, for the longest time, we've been looking at issues in silo. Animals, animals. Animals, not humans. Humans, we are much better because we care about animals. But we've made some progress. There's something called molting. Hens shed their feathers, they regrow. Regrow is a part of a natural process. I think all of us, all women, or all women who go through menstruation, similarly for them. So they shed their feathers and they grow it back. But it's an inconvenience to the industry. So what they have done is they force molt them. They starve them and deprive them of water almost the entire for 7 to 14 days, so that all of them shed their feathers together, and so the profitability can still stay. We've been able to get a ban on that. Small win. What we want is to get hens out of cages. Simple thing. It seems like it's simple, but the systems are so entrenched, it's very difficult and it takes time. So, but how I may be speaking seems like it is a vicious circle and nothing can be done about it. But the solutions are also like a domino effect. If we start solving one thing, the dominoes will soon start falling. And that's where we need people, we need the younger generation, we need partnerships who may not care about animals, but who may care about the environment, about social justice movement, about something else, and the industry who wants to be a better industry at themselves and a better government. So while I may not, while people before me in the animal protection movement brought the topic of animal protection in front of us through our dogs, cats, and everything, we are now making the baseline for an intersectionality where we understand that if an animal suffers, human will also suffer. But I might not see it in my lifetime where it's a equal, just, equitable world for humans and animals. And that is where I look to you, the youth, at TEDxYouth at CHIREC for support. You have to bring it home for us. Because you need to question, will you be able to look beyond just the cat and the dog, which is very interesting for all of us and cute for all of us, and also pay attention to the hen, which might not be that attractive, the cow, but definitely the cow, but also the buffalo, which has its own things in religion and may not be the most attractive or the vote bankable thing in the country right now. But also somebody like some animals like the snake. Will you be able to question why some animals and humans are more important than the others? Because in this questioning will come the revolution that we probably need and the answers that we deserve. Because only then will you be that person, which I wasn't able to be 16 years ago, who would be aghast at that buffalo lying dead and calling up the municipality immediately instead of dismissing it and saying, for the dog I'll do, but for the buffalo I won't. You, my friends, my youth, are the force that we need for toppling that first domino. And that's how we can create the domino effect. Thank you so much.